And I'd love to know, what's coming up for you, what's something that you're dealing with right now, either in terms of an achievement, an improvement, or a struggle. Tell me what's coming up for you. Hi, everyone. I see you, Dr. Kugnon from Delaware, from Chile, Flora from Austin. Hi, Flora. Hi, everyone. Okay, so let's just dive in and begin. So today what I'd like to focus on is what it takes to be a student of life, what it takes to be a seeker of life and life's teachings and life's wisdom. So the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will arrive, is a really profound saying. What it means in its core, at its essence, is that there is always a teacher. The issue is not the teacher. The issue is that the student isn't ready. And I just want you to understand how that could relate in your own life, how that could impact your own life experience by realizing it isn't the teacher, it is the student. And you and I are the students, and whatever's happening outside of us is the teacher. So it's not the teacher that doesn't want to teach. It's that we are not awakened yet. We are not illuminated enough yet within our own being to grasp, to cull, to garner, to harness the teaching that is being offered. What it also means is that the teacher is always teaching. The teacher is always teaching. The teacher is always present. The teacher is always ready to give, to share its jewels. That means, if we understood it well, that there is always resource available. There is always an oceanic pool of bejeweled lessons for us, ready to pick. There's always something to be obtained. We can never be in lack when we understand this. There are always lessons. There's always something to be obtained, to be culled, to be received. But if the student is dull, if the student is dim, if the student is procrastinating, if the student is apathetic and listless, what then? Then the student doesn't go deep into the ocean. The student just walks on a 2x2 square of the shore and complains that this ocean is not bountiful. Now what to do? The ocean is saying, I'm an ocean, come see. And the student is saying, no, you're not. You're only this little square, 2x2 square of sand. Now the ocean is like trying to convince the student. The reason is that the student is not awakened. So in my teachings and in my life, when I experience a roadblock in my own life, I've now trained myself to not point the finger at the experience of the experience, not at the content or the external face of what I am going through. I've learned now, it's never that. It's never the child. It's never the husband or the wife. It's never the weather or the politician. It's because I am not awakened yet to receive the jewels of this experience. It's me who isn't illuminated enough, isn't lit up enough to be brave enough, to be insightful enough, to get what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get something. And the other thing I've trained myself is that what I'm supposed to get is certainly not in form. It's not in the concrete, in the tangible. It's always in terms of a lesson for my soul. It's a lesson of healing. It's a lesson through which I can become a more whole human being. That's what I need to get out of every moment. How can I be more whole? How can I be more present? How can I be more awake? That's what I'm supposed to get. And the lessons are always there to be given. It's me who isn't yet, awakened enough to arrive there. So it's never the child, it's never the external, it's never the other. They are always the teacher. The teacher is always right there before our face, right here. But we can't see it. We can't see it. In my own life, also, as a so-called teacher, I've understood I'm teaching no one, because the student is the one who determines whether I am a teacher. I can keep saying, I'm a teacher, but there's no point if the student is not receiving the teachings. So if you listening to me today are learning anything, don't think it's because of me. No, do not think it's because of me. And similarly, tomorrow when you don't learn from me, don't think it's because of me either. But there's something profound in what I'm saying, in that it's you who is allowing the words that happen to come out of my mouth to resound with and echo with your own reverberation. You are allowing. Don't think Dr. Shefali is a good teacher. No. You are allowing her. Something in our dynamic is allowing these words that happen to reverberate from me to echo within you. Right? Namaste. Namaste means the God in me sees the God in you. If I don't see the God in me, I'm not going to see the God in you. So every time you call me a teacher, you have to remember, oh, I'm the student. Right? But we put the student at a lower place than the teacher. And this is the problem. No, the student is the one who's in power. The student is the one who is in control. It's never the teacher. I have no control over what the hell you learn, right? And therefore, I cannot be attached to what you learn. I've now learned that I'm actually a student when I'm teaching, right? So my student-teacher relationship is all occurring within me. And I'm just here opening my mouth. And that's really all I do. And decibels come out. Because I'm only doing it for me to learn. I'm not doing it with this attachment and grandeur and audacity that you need to learn something from me. It's not at all true. So the hierarchy between student and teacher needs to completely be turned on its head. The student is its own teacher. The student is the teacher of the teacher. The student is the one who is in power, not the teacher. And when you begin to understand that, then you stop trying to teach. I use the word teacher because I have to give myself some title, but I shudder and I cringe when somebody really calls me a teacher, because I know the illusion of that term. I'm not seeking to teach. I'm seeking to learn myself. And that's why I'm always in the eternal seeking mode. And one of the ways I seek is to talk. Now, it just so happens you think I'm a teacher when I'm doing it, but no, I'm a student when I'm doing it. Because every time I open my mouth, I'm learning for me. So as long as I understand that I'm the student and I'm the teacher of my own apprenticeship, then I stop having grandeur attachments to you, learning anything. However, when you begin to understand the power of you being a student, then you don't passively wait for me to teach. And then you don't get upset with me or the other or the other or the other. You understand, I'm the student. So that's the primary reframe we have to do. If you want to lead a life of seeking, you may not want to. It's not everybody's life to live a life of seeking, as is quite apparent. Many people are just living in the ego of knowing. You see, to be a seeker, you have to live in the non-ego of not knowing. And that takes a lot of courage. People would rather live in the ego of knowing. So in order to be a seeker, you have to admit, I don't know. I'm constantly seeking. And that takes a lot of courage. The student, you see, the seeker, our kids who go to school, like, they have courage because they occupy the role of student with such, seeming humility They're not fighting to be the teacher, but really if we taught them what power they have, they would actually own their seeking more vividly, and they'd put the teachers in their place, and then the entire education system would look so different. Right now it's based on a hierarchy of the teacher is more important than the student, but no. Only when the student is ready, the teacher will be a teacher, right? So the student gives the teacher its definition and its role. So what this means in a day-to-day basis is that you are always being given the choice to learn, to seek, to heal. And if you enter that stream, you will forever feel as if you are being given. And then you will forever feel that life is really fair. Life is really good. Life is really bountiful. Because you're not looking for lessons in the form, in the relationship. Today I'm going to find my boyfriend. Today I'm going to earn $1 million. Today my friends are going to wish me, 1,000 wishes. Today my mother's going to call me. Today I'm going to buy a pair of shoes. Those are the wishes of the material world. Those are not real lessons. Lessons are about the internal world. What am I learning? How am I growing? How am I becoming a more whole, more empowered, more realized, illuminated being? Those lessons are very different from the form-based lessons of relationships and mother and father and boyfriend. So you have to decide what kind of lessons you want to get, what kind of gifts you want to take from the universe. And if you take the gifts of wisdom, of growth, of learning, of wholeness, of integration, of seeking, then you will suddenly shift from lack to abundance. And you'll realize, oh my goodness, I have so many teachers available to me for free. So many people are trying to help me evolve. Like, how lovely. Just yesterday, when you were in the old paradigm, the bad kid was getting on your nerves. And today, as you shift, the bad kid is showing you, wow, I have no control over my emotions. Wow, I'm a control freak. I really need control 24/7. Wow, I need to be neat at an OCD level. Something is wrong with me. Wow, I'm using my children to get love and significance. Wow. Suddenly the bad kid is becoming the most powerful teacher. But only when you decide what kind of lessons you want to get in life, what kind of gifts. If you only want the lessons and gifts of success and wealth and image and status, you're going to be a loser. Lose. I don't know about you, but I gave up that train a long time ago because I saw it was a losing proposition, because it was depending on people to make me feel full, and they were constantly pissing me off because they were disappointing me. So I decided I need a new train to ride. So I shifted into the spiritual world and realizing that, I don't want the Prada shoes and the Birkin bag and this coat. I don't care, because I see how empty and superficial it is. I want something else. I want to freaking grow. I want to leave this earth grown. What does that mean? Not just in height and in weight and in status and in hair length, but in inner evolution. That is my prize. So when I shifted to, I want to really grow. I want to experience this experience of being a human from the inside. I want to know what it is to be a human who is liberated, a human who is free, a human who can enjoy the bounty of this earth without attachment. I want to be a human who can fully take risks and be an adventurer, because she has cut herself from the expectation of others. I want to be that human. And for that human, I have to truly be a seeker. But for that human to be a seeker, I have to look at everything as a teacher, because I'm ready. And when you begin to look at life like that, then the boyfriend who cheated on you, that boyfriend who cheated on you becomes your guru. Your kids fighting with each other and they're frothing at the mouth and they're literally drawing blood from each other, they are your gurus. And you're losing your job becomes a guru. And this COVID-19 becomes a guru. Not because it's because you have arrived. So I always say in all these talks, how COVID is the perfect teacher. But COVID is not the perfect teacher. Finally, I think maybe the human can become the perfect student. The COVID is just the COVID. COVID is the same as watching a leaf fall from a tree. You could learn the same bounty of spiritual lessons from watching a leaf fall from the tree. You know, if you were truly a Buddha, you would learn the same damn lessons. You wouldn't need a global pandemic for you to learn this. A leaf falling from a tree, you would realize, wow, nature doesn't cling, does it? Nature just flows, doesn't it? When it's time, isn't it? Nature is democratic. It doesn't matter if it's a green leaf or a yellow leaf. They're both going to fall. It doesn't make exceptions. It doesn't choose its special leaves. Wow, nature really understands mortality and impermanence. Wow, nature really is just in this moment. Nature has no ego about I am an oak tree. I am the willow. I am the weeping. None of it. These are names that man gave. I could get the same lessons watching a leaf falling from the tree. But no, who learns lessons from a leaf falling from a tree? And who learns lessons from the man who leaves us because he cheated on us with some 15 other women? Oh, we never do. No, we are like, he is bad. Let's take him to divorce court. Let's fight because he's wrong, right? And then so on for the wife who lives on the corner of 96th and 5th Avenue, okay, her husband left her and he's a real pig, so no lesson to learn there because she was perfect and he was the ass. Okay, but the same woman 16 months later gets diabetes, right? And she still doesn't learn the lesson because, oh, it was just because of the stress of the divorce. Okay, so she doesn't learn that lesson. And then her kid enters high school and he becomes a drug addict and an alcoholic. Oh, and that's still not anything to learn from because that's still the bad husband's fault, right? And a few years later, her father dies, but there's nothing to learn there because now she's too bitter. You see, and on and on and on. Life keeps giving us lessons and we keep pretending as if it isn't. And we keep entering lack, bitterness, resentment, and scarcity because we keep thinking that we need to be getting something else than we are. We think we should be getting the Prada shoes and the bank account and the man who never cheats on us. We think that those are the gifts of life, right? So life keeps trying to teach, but we are looking for the wrong lessons because the student is deluded. In order to get the real lessons of life, you have to be the right kind of student. You know this if you've taught your kids in homeschooling. You see, wow, man, these kids are just not, either your kid is learning or your kid isn't learning. It doesn't depend on the teacher. And when the student realizes what the real gifts of life are, and the student wakes up, the student begins to realize, oh my goodness, wow. Tells her husband, you cheated on me? Thank you. Wow, I needed to learn this lesson. What do I need to learn? And then when I get diabetes, whoa, what do I need to learn here? And suddenly the fruits of lessons are just falling. But you and I know this kind of student is some brave student, right? Who can just understand that life is lived on the lesson level of the soul, on the soul level, right? What kind of student is this? Can you be a student of these kinds of teachings? Because if you do enter into being a seeker, you will never be empty. You will always be given because life is always wanting to teach. Life is so bountiful. Every day is bounty. If you are a student who is a seeker of the true lessons of life. You see, we've not been learning anything, and that's why now this pandemic has made us wake up. We didn't need a pandemic to wake up. The only reason the pandemic is waking up is because now it's undeniable. Now it's in every house. Now you can't say only I was treated badly. I was a victim. I got the bad thing. I got the... No, now you're like, ooh, life is suffering for everyone. Life is mortal for everyone. Life is only lived in the now for everyone. I'd better get this lesson. I better not screw around because now it's global. So that's why we're stopping in our tracks. Not because the virus is some special missionary from some god, the Palladians or the Arcturians they've sent this virus down to wake humanity up. No, It's not. It's just one more teacher. It's our choice now whether we're going to wake up with this teacher or we're going to keep going back to sleep. That's it. But the teacher was always there. There were so many teachers. Every time you stubbed your toe, there was a teacher. Every time you hit your elbow, there was a teacher. Every time you were in a traffic jam, there was a teacher. Every time you lost your temper, there was a teacher. Every time, there was a teacher. But we don't learn lessons, you see. We don't, right? So now, are we going to learn these lessons? But we don't have to. But it's not the virus. It's not the virus who's a better teacher, or a virus who's a worse teacher, sent by somebody to realign the planet. No. It's just yet another teacher. Now the choice is, do you begin to wake up to realize, oh, my life was full of these teachers. There were viruses in my life all this time. I had so many viruses. Of course, the main ones are here, right? And I've just been missing the lessons. I've been so attached to my immortality. I've been so attached to my significance. I've been so attached to my ego. I've been so attached to my possessions that I didn't know I had to learn something else. Okay, now you know. Now you know that the only way to really be in life is in the role of seeker, which is to be in the I don't know, which is to be in non-ego. And when you are, you're rich. You're so wealthy because life is going to give you lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson. So when I went through my divorce, people looked at me like in horror, right? Because how could I go through a divorce? And they thought I was lacking or had failed. And I would smile. I would go, you just don't understand that I've transitioned into another portal. That's what the divorce was. You can call it something and label it something and feel really sad for me, but really you should be celebrating with me because I'm finished with a whole chapter, with a whole dimension, and I'm moved through a portal to a new beginning, to a rebirth, to an emergence. I've learned so much while you're still married, right? And it's not no knock on marriage, but it's a growth. What growth? What growth? I only look at it in terms of growth. And with growth comes death. Death of the old, and then you are the new. Nothing is immortal. No relationship, no position, no passion, no status. Nothing is mortal. Nothing is immortal. Everything is going through mortality. And there's constant change. But you have to look at it like that. You have to be the right kind of student. If you're a fool, as most of mankind is, they go, oh, I got a wrinkle. I put on 10 pounds. Because we're looking at life through the form base. And we're going to constantly be in lack. Always depressed. But when you go to the other side and you're like, what did I learn? How am I growing? How many dimensions am I ascending, evolving? How am I evolving, right? So, oh my goodness, I can't tell you how much I am evolving, right? Through the portals. But there have to be portals. If you don't enter the tunnel, there is no growth. And we're all scared of the tunnel, so we never grow. And this COVID is a global tunnel, right? It is the divorce of the globe. Divorce from what? Divorce from the old to the new. Now, do you dare? Right? The question is, do you dare to reframe this entire experience, not of just the COVID, of your entire life, as constantly allowing you to enter the tunnel of rebirth, to enter the birth, to enter the birth. And in order to enter the birth, there has to be death. That is evolution. Evolution is evolving from one form to the next, right? We don't want to evolve. Right? And that's why we call it bad things. Bad child, bad divorce, bad this, bad career. A loss of a job is considered bad. And I'm saying, why? Okay, it's temporarily bad because you may not have as much money, but it's a rebirth, right? A diabetes is a rebirth. A cancer is a rebirth. It doesn't matter what the final outcome is. In the moment, it's a rebirth. So when you look at every life as a canal, as a transition, as a portal, there has to be a portal in order for change to occur. And we all are resisting the portal. Because in the portal, in the tunnel, which is where we are now, right now we are in a new tunnel. Whether Bill Gates is right, whether Trump is wrong, so egregiously wrong, it doesn't matter. It's not about them. It's about you and how you're going to use this tunnel. You've been in many tunnels and you have completely run back. You've completely regressed. You've completely run away from the light that was about to be birthed into your being. You ran away because you were terrified. Now you're in global lockdown. You have no choice to be in this tunnel. So now what are you going to do? Thank goodness you've been forced, right? And that's why I talk about parenthood, because parenthood is lockdown, 18-year lockdown, forced, mandatory, obligatory lockdown for the woman at least. The man can leave, but typically women don't leave. And that's why I say parenting is phenomenal, because you can't divorce your children. So you're in the tunnel, right? But you're not the old you, you're not the new you, you're in the tunnel with your children. Now you're in a global lockdown tunnel. So how are you going to look at this? How are you going to rebirth yourself? How are you going to be a seeker and understand it is for your evolution? There is nothing really that has happened that is tragic, that cannot be transformed. Yes, there has been loss. Yes, you have let go. 100%. There is no life without loss. There is no life without loss. Right? When I had to choose if I wanted to go through the portal of my divorce, I had loss. I had to choose. I had cried, I had to let go, I had to grieve, I had to bury. But then I evolved and came out on the other end. Now is the same. There will be no rebirthing without the grieving. There has to be death. There is just no way evolution can occur. The Homo sapien came from the Homo erecti. You mourning the Homo erecti? No, you're not, because you think you're all that. You should be mourning the Homo erecti. So every new cannot come about with the same old. Some has to go. Some has to go. Somebody's face will go. Somebody's health will go. Somebody's boyfriend will go. Somebody's husband will go. Somebody's father will go. The death is going to come in somebody's life sooner or later, right? And as you grow older, every few years, as it should be. Because as we grow older, it's time to release. It's time to change. It's time for the new. Imagine if your toddler was like, no, I don't want to be a toddler. I want to be an infant. And imagine if your teenager said, no, I want to be a toddler, which is what they continue to be. But imagine if they really, really did not go into teenagehood. They're like, no, I want to be a toddler. What a tragedy for us parents. They never grow old and leave the house. What the hell? So evolution has been happening all along in your life, but you've just been following the script. Oh, let me read the script. Okay, toddler to pre-adolescent to adolescent to da-da-da, and you've just been following the damn script. How boring. Well, now the pandemic has shaken things up, hasn't it? It's like, ooh, it's completely revolutionized the entire globe. You know why? Because it was time to burn the prescription list. It was time to burn the linear ladders and bury the old ways of living, right? The old ways of capitalism, the old ways of greed, competition, judgment, right? Superiority, right? End it. The scourge of white supremacy has to end. The scourge of racism has to end. The scourge of the 1% owning more than the 99% has to end. The anathema that a woman feels if she grows old has to end, right? Men and women have to enter a different energy, but it can only begin with you and I. With you and I being enlightened beings, waking up, and then we wake up our partners and we wake up our children. But again, we are not doing this to wake anyone else up, because we understand now that the teacher can't teach anything until the student is ready. So if you have people in your life right now that you're trying to teach and you're banging your head against, right? Let it go. That's not a teacher. That's a teacher who thinks they're a teacher, right? A teacher who thinks they're a teacher is not a teacher. The wise teacher understands that they're never teaching. The wise teacher understands they're just waiting for the student to arrive. And if the student hasn't arrived, it's okay. It's not the time for the student to arrive. So what that means is, if you've been banging your head in your own life, looking at all the unconscious people going, when will they wake up? You're asking the wrong question. You're knocking on the wrong tree. You have to understand that they are not ready. And if they're not ready, you have grace and surrender their need to be ready, your need that they be ready. You let it go. You understand, we're just not at the same level of vibration or the same level of consciousness, whatever you want to talk about, however you want to talk about it. And you release it. Because a real teacher understands that it's never the teaching that makes them a teacher, it's the student. So if the student isn't ready, we go teach somewhere else. We just go somewhere else. We go wherever we are the students. Because ultimately, at the core, the best teacher is the best seeker. You cannot be a teacher without being a seeker. So go back to your seeking, right? Every time you're judging someone else, every time you're wondering about other people and how they're not doing their job, and this teacher's not doing her job, and stop. Go, oh, before I judge the teacher, let me judge my own seeking, right? Am I seeking? What work am I doing on myself? Am I fully awakened? And we re-enter that. So be a seeker. This is a moment that is undeniable. We had many moments, but you could deny them in your delusion. This one we can't. It's a global awakening, but it has to start with you and I to look at this as a rebirth, which means you cannot come out of this in the same way. And I'm not talking about having learned 5 more languages and learned how to bake bread. Who cares? Don't change anything on the outside. Nothing. But change on the inside. Awaken to who it is you are. Understand your mortality. If you understand your mortality, just the biggest lesson of this virus, you'll stop living in fear. And if you stop living in fear, you begin to live. If you can just get this, then you've changed everything from the inside. Then everything that daunted you, everything that scared you, the job you never dared to get, the place you never dared to visit, the relationship you never dared to try, and the relationship you never dared to end, all of that now stops, because you understand that you're going to die anyway. And if you get that fully, deeply, you now begin to live. Live unabashed, unapologetic, unbridled. That's the lesson here. If you can look at your growth as the prize, as your evolution, as the great gift, then you will never be poor in your life again. And every moment in your life will elevate you and evolve you. So thank you all for listening. I'm going to be meditating on another page in around 20 minutes. Somebody will post the page or come to my on my Facebook. The page is Get Superpowered. It's a group. Come there. Somebody will post the link. Bye, everyone. Evolve away. Be a seeker. Bye. Bye, Elite Hypnotherapy. Regina. Gabrielle. Bye, everyone.